Facebook and the YouTubes. Well, right now it's going out to, I'm going to give you the links to the videos here in a second. Yeah, I don't care about that. Yeah, we're live now. Yeah. If we need to. All right, so there's one of the links in the chat. Oh, I just got to go find the other one. Just about. Yep. You can share it in the, well, you can share it in your chat after the video's up. Hold on.
There's a hole in this country where its heart used to be, and no glory is divided on fire in the street. They say building back better, make America great. If that's a wave of the future, all I've got to say, stick your progress where the sun don't shine. Keep your big mess away from me and mine. If you leave us alone, well, we'd all be just fine. Stick your progress where the sun don't shine. our countrymen dying in Afghanistan. They say let go of Jesus, let government say you can have back your freedoms if you do what we say. Stick your progress where the sun don't shine. Keep your big mess away from me and mine. If you leave us alone, well, we'd all be just fine. Stick your progress where the sun don't shine. Shut down our pipelines and they shut down our voices. Shut down our main streets and they shut down our choices. They bent us all over, but it's all over now. 'Cause we figured it out. We ain't backing down. Stick your progress where the sun don't shine. Keep your big mess away from me and mine. If you leave us alone, well, we'd all be just fine. Stick your progress where the sun don't shine. Where the sun don't shine. Where the sun don't shine. Where the sun don't shine.
Yes,
Am I
good
echoing?
evening.
We could start with Kevin. Pretty interesting.
You have anything to say, Kevin?
Yeah.
Tell us.
Right, everyone. A lot of the things that are happening in the USA have either happened here long ago, or they're happening simultaneously. I've said before, we are almost like a trial ground for certain things. A typical example is the racial divide that is created and perpetuated.
Reverse racism.
Yeah, and also resurrection. I mean, everyone knows about apartheid. It had good and bad. If one knows the history of the country, that it was a route to bring about equality, in fact, and things were moving. And then we had certain politicians that came out from the USA, and they stirred up a lot of racial unrest, etc. Literally taught the people how to riot. And even today, after there's been a change in government since 1994, just 2 weeks ago, it was a bit more, about a month, just over a month, they rebroadcast and blasted on TV all the scenes of what had happened on the 16th of July, 1976. And stirred up, and obviously on the local media, it's just all that was spoken about. Whereas things had quietened down, the current government, which is supported by The same people that interfere with your elections were present at the negotiations when the government changed. We got photos of a certain Mr. S sitting, organizing and funding the whole business.
Huh.
Our current government sits on the fence and is getting aid from America, China, and Russia. But we're getting the same things pushed down our throat, renewable energy funded by the US government, funded by Holland, by the Netherlands. Same story. What did they do? They wrecked our electric generation system, which in 1991 was awarded the top energy producer in the world in New York.
Explain
It's
the load. Explain the load shedding.
So what's happened is they've done no maintenance, very little expansion. Lots of aid came in and lots of aid disappeared. And now what's happening is they're not generating. We used to be a net exporter, the biggest producer of electricity in Africa. We're now importing from neighboring countries, and we still have, I think you call them rolling blackouts.
Yes,
Right.
that is true.
Roaming
So
blackouts.
we have rolling blackouts here. In the last 5 days, I've had 2.5 hours breaks. I think it was 7 in the last 4 days. And why are they doing that? Because they want to bring in renewable energy. And the joke of it is they're pushing for electric vehicles. And we haven't got enough power to keep the lights on, but they want to push to electric vehicles.
They're doing that here
And
too.
exactly the same. And the irony is New Zealand and Australia, just for the record, have never had power problems before, and they've recently started having them.
Mm.
So again, it's the trend, and you've also got it in the USA to a certain extent. It's also happening there. So it's like a model that is just replicated from one country to the other.
Yep.
A lot of the pandemic so-called measures were just so bad that they actually read them off word for word, and they were exactly the same wording that was used by other countries' politicians.
Right.
And what happened is, fortunately, we've got one of the most modern constitutions in the world. We haven't got the judicial system to back it up fully, but it's coming into play. And for instance, mask mandates have now been all overturned. People that were fired for not having vaccinations have been reinstated with back pay.
Good.
And compensation. So things are changing. There's a big backlash against this whole, because our president actually, in the exact words he used were, we are moving towards a new world order.
Right.
And there's no hiding it. The latest is also been on the cards for 10 years. It was also brought up in the USA. If you've got more than so many houses, then you must give your other house up, and they don't want to pay compensation.
And who do we got to give it to? We're supposed to give it to the illegal people, the illegal aliens that come in here.
exactly what they want to do here, and it was ruled unconstitutional by the Constitutional Court.
Right.
And they've immediately now introduced a new bill, land appropriation without compensation.
Right.
Mirror copy the exact same narrative as was used by the people in America to try and motivate it when they were saying you don't need more than $200,000 income, I think was what previous President said. That's all that a person needs to live on. Same narrative has been spewed out here. Our
I've never even came close to that.
Our political parties is the extreme left, because the current government is extreme left. The extreme left are funded in the UK by members of the known members of the clan that are trying to run the world.
The banks.
Mhm.
And they are
The banks.
And they are the-
Rothschilds, the big names. Yeah. Old money.
the big names. Yeah.
The Bilderberg.
So, the thing about South Africa is in Africa, it's still like the powerhouse. Nigeria's got oil, which we don't have, so they have a little bit of an edge on us now. But technologically, etc., South Africa is the leader. So it's big enough to make a difference, but small enough to manipulate and to fine tune when they introduce these policies. And people that have been in contact with me for a while, a lot of things that I predicted way back in 2018 exactly happened. The way that they attacked the conservatives, the methods that were used, the racial divide that has been created, all the narratives, we've seen them all. There was an incident, can you remember? Certain students were writing and they said that they must rewrite the science laws because they don't apply necessarily to all people. They're a Western idea that came from Europe and it doesn't apply necessarily. A week before that, we had exactly the same riot demonstration at our major university.
Is your government saying the same thing that New Zealand is saying, where they're going to tell you what they say is the truth? The government is the truth, and nobody else is telling the truth.
Yes, they at the they call it Youth Day. That was when the riots were in 1976. The current president said a lot of things about who was in South Africa first and trashed history and said that history is actually incorrect and this is what happened.
Didn't you tell us that they kicked all the white people down to South Africa first?
No, there was no one in South when.
Yeah, there was a woman there. Yeah, okay. Go ahead.
In 16, just very quick, 1652, the Khoi and San, which used to be called the Bushmen, they are the native inhabitants of Southern Africa. And then with the slave trade, the Arabs pushed down into Africa and the people moved down lower. And then a lot of, especially in areas like East Africa, they were actually capturing their next door neighbors and rival tribes and selling them as slaves. And so the people fled further and further south. Now, my one grandparents' family, nation, the Dutch, they were here 1652. Others were 1820. And a lot of the current Africans, as they say, we're not Africans, we colonials. We were here long before them. That's proven history, etc. And yeah, it's all been spewed by the government, and they reinforce it in schools. And guess what they want to introduce into our schools? Critical
What?
race theory.
Of course.
Oh, you've got to be kidding me.
No. So it's, believe you me, it's countrywide. New Zealand, that was mentioned, they have gone so different to what they were 10 years ago. I at one stage was half interested in going to live there. It's no different to what I've got here. And the other thing is that our police force is now defunct. Our Minister of Police, the head of police, was actually fired from Interpol as the head for corruption.
It's going to happen here.
Fired from his position and now been reinstated, and the thing is a total disaster.
Didn't you just vote out, like, your president has been in office for like 20 years or something?
No, ours only served 2 terms.
It was a family, wasn't it?
But what they have is they've got factions, and the previous, the first president was Mandela,
Right.
and then he was followed by Mbeki. He was ousted by Zuma, who was the corrupt state capture. Same guy that took Canada for quite a few million. The Gupta family, you may have heard of them. They are persona non grata in the United States because of corruption. And he was ousted, and his ex-wife then stood for president to replace him.
So all of those Americans heading down the same road towards you.
I was going to share that too.
Our way.
Yeah.
That the socialism and the social justice programs and the social justice ideas are not unique to the United States at the moment. They're being done elsewhere as well, and they're being done on a grander scale.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and the other thing that they've done is they're making us into a. They're now introducing a basic income grant of it's not a hell of a lot in your terms, but it's 350 in our money, and that's going to be taxed, recovered as tax from from the taxpayers.
Oh.
Yeah.
You're speaking of a universal basic income. Is that what you're telling me?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's
Universal basic. Yeah, that's a dream of the left here in the United States as well.
Right.
Well, ours is being introduced. As I said, it's trial runners in South Africa.
Won't work.
And
Won't
we
advance degrees.
It'll be like
our
our
health
post office. Always in
our
the
health insurance, as you call it, we call medical aid, same sort of thing. That is now being replaced by the National Health Act. Just another word for Obamacare.
Yeah, which has been a disaster over here in the United States.
Exactly. It's totally unaffordable, totally unenforceable, and we've already had an outflow of all our doctors. And South Africa's medical people were of some of the best in the world.
But then Bill Gates interfered.
Mm-hmm.
They've just been snapped up in Canada, America, New Zealand, Australia, you name it.
Well, ours are leaving too because
Yeah.
of the same for the exact same reasons. Where they're all going, nobody seems to know.
Yeah, really.
So yeah, there's a lot. As I say, everything that's happening there has or will happen here. It's like it's just a set playbook, and it's been introduced everywhere.
All being done by the heads of state in
Yes.
every country. The people are the ones that are paying the price. That's what we're having a problem with. But that's
Yeah,
not
you
the
know-
way it's supposed to be. They started playing around with our money, with our lives, and we didn't know, we didn't catch on to what they were doing until now. Now that we know what they're doing, we're going to stop it.
Now, on the 20th of February 2020, there was a robbery at the president's farm,
Mhm.
and they stole $4 million out of his sofa in his lounge. Now, who keeps $4
Wait a
million
minute. He
in
had $4 million in couch change.
in cash in his lounge seats?
Hold on, I gotta go check
importantly,
my
how
couch.
did they know it was there?
The 27th of March, a month later, we went into one of the most serious lockdowns in the world. And one just begs, and we got billions, literally $1 billion in aid, of which no one can account where it went to.
Where it went to.
And I know it went into couches.
So
No case was.
your government
if you
as
lose
well
4
takes
million-
money and just disappears it to places, and nobody knows what's going on.
No.
If your $4 billion stolen, are you going to report it to the police or not? There has not been a case opened against this about that theft.
Wow.
And the government officials are not accountable to the laws that you are accountable to?
Yes, what they've done is they've instituted an investigation, and who's running the investigation?
This
Solely by
level of
the
corruption
ruling
is
class.
insane. I can't imagine it happening anywhere else.
Same
Yeah, I
thing.
know, right?
And it's been the whole investigation process is run by the ruling party, and no other political
Hold on.
parties
We
are
will
involved.
investigate ourselves. Just a minute.
Yes,
Okay.
I'm
We
not
find
doing
that we have
Okay.
done nothing wrong.
exactly.
Uh-huh.
Sorry.
That sounds like
Um,
our January 6th committee.
Uh-huh.
Yes, exactly the same.
We've conducted an internal investigation, and we need you guys all to understand that CNN agrees we have done nothing wrong, and you
Yes.
should smile and be happy as we tell you
Along with the MSLSD, they agreed.
Yeah.
too.
MSLSD.
Mm-hmm. They all
And the
did their
communist
internal
broadcast.
investigations, and we're innocent,
Yes, so
right?
We showed them all the evidence, of course, and they
Now
they
it's
agreed
not
with our internal
disappeared.
investigation.
Now it disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so
But we
So
can't
that's-
comment on it because it is an ongoing investigation.
All
So
right.
they can't comment on it.
That's right. Can't say nothing.
Hey,
It
Kevin,
would be wrong.
I think we talked briefly before we ever went live here about foreign impression of our current administration. Something that most of the people that may watch this video are not going to have ever heard, because the Communist News Network and MSLSD and the Communist Broadcast Station, and see a theme here, they don't say anything negative about our current president. The comedians are afraid to talk about him, and they're not going to tell us at all that foreign countries believe he is a joke. Tell us a little bit about your press and what you experience over there, the impression of our current administration.
Our press is very much mainstream media. You know, the news, TV news, definitely. And there's a lot of criticism, and even funny enough, from a lot of the ruling party people are starting, the traditional voters of the ANC, known here as CANCR, cancer, because they're cancer that's attacking the country, using the ANC as part of the word cancer. And they're saying, we don't need your interference, sort your own problems out. Don't export your problems. And the general impression about America is that they just interfere, and that they're only interfering in the only reason that they're trying to stay in South Africa's good books is because we have major mineral rights here.
Yes, we do.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
A lot of minerals, a lot of stuff to mine out of the ground is what they're doing. They're taking a lot of stuff out of your ground.
manganese.
Mm-hmm.
You know, manganese has become quite a big thing,
Yes.
especially with your electric vehicles and batteries and that.
They're ripping the ground apart. to
Funny
get
enough,
to.
they want us to go green, but everyone wants our coal.
Yeah,
Hello.
Yeah,
and
Welcome to that paradox.
we are not allowed to mine our coal here.
yeah. No, we're allowed to mine it.
You're just not allowed
They
to burn it.
We're
Yeah.
not allowed to burn it for ourselves. We've got to go green.
Yeah, it's got to be sold to us.
Yes.
See?
And there's other uranium, very high uranium deposits, which are always in. That's besides the gold. The current government has basically crippled our gold mining industry, which was the backbone and the origin, really, of South Africa's growth.
Not to mention the diamond.
Right. Well, yeah.
Spice trade.
Mm-hmm.
In about around the 1980s, thereabout, South Africa was between fourth and sixth, depending which rating you look at, biggest economy in the world.
Right.
They were actually bigger than China.
Right.
We're not now. We're down around about 100 or hundreds or something.
Wow.
You know, an example of how they've crippled the country is in 1970, with 70 South African cents, you bought $1. It now costs us around about, I haven't checked today, around about $17 rand to buy $1.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. That's a lot of money to borrow $1.
Yeah. A pound, a British pound was exactly 2 rand. That's our currency, was 1 pound, because we swapped from the pound in 1961.
Mm-hmm.
And it stayed that on a parity of 1 pound was 2 rand. And currently it's around about 20 rand to buy 1 pound.
Wow.
So the rate of exchange is crazy. So let's say you wanted to come to America, it would cost you a lot of money.
You cannot even a millionaire here would arrive there and he would have, well, a couple of $100,000.
Right.
And
Wow.
and then what they do is our fuel prices, we produce our own fuel made from coal. They actually break down the coal and they produce, I think in America they used to do it with oil slate.
I worked on that unit. I know what it is. We called it.
Now they do a similar process. They do a derivative process here where they do it out of coal. But our fuel price is based on Brent crude and international crude oil prices.
Yeah, just like everybody's.
Yep.
So we currently paying about 23 Rand, which is about $1.50 a liter. And there's 3.8 liters, 3.79 liters to your gallon. So call it 4 just for ease. 4 times R1.50. We're paying about $6 a gallon for fuel as well, which we make here ourselves.
That's nuts. Energy costs around the world are absolutely insane. $6 a gallon there, $6+ a gallon on the West Coast. You know, up here in the Midwest, where it's traditionally been lower than either one of the coasts, a gallon of diesel cost me $4.79 yesterday.
Yeah.
This is
and now
it's meant to break the energy of the world. Really, they're trying to force us into green energy. Green energy that is simply not ready for prime time.
We have three major crude oil refineries in South Africa, one in Cape Town, one in Johannesburg, and one in Durban. All three of them are currently closed. One is half opening, and then there's the Sasol, which is the oil fuel from coal plant. And they want to move to importing petroleum products, diesel, gasoline, etc., importing them all from overseas. Totally ridiculous. In other words, buy an electric vehicle.
And about the same time, probably, you were talking about the early 80s. I figured that's when Venezuela was really booming.
Right. Exactly. Same thing happened to them.
Exactly the same thing. Same as Lebanon was also booming.
And they're doing it all through the Dominion programs.
Yes.
I love
all through that
because it shows me a lot.
Those machines need to be destroyed.
You know, just on electric vehicles, the province I live in, which is like a state, what you would call a state, we've got 9. And it's not particularly big. If you look at the map, it's like a little spot on there. But there are 20 million out of 60 million people live in that little area. I used to travel, just got to do a quick conversion. I used to travel 100 miles to work a day.
Oh my gosh.
That's a lot of mileage.
Yeah.
50 miles, nearly 50 miles there and 50 miles home. Do that in an electric vehicle, 2 days and you've got to recharge your vehicle if you're lucky.
Yeah.
Right.
And you're looking at $155, $165 to recharge it.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the cost would be, because again, we've got to import that technology at dollar price.
How much is it to recharge your car?
I don't know.
You have to do it. It takes 8 hours.
Oh my heavens.
If I had the big solar panels and could put them out there and have the property put it, yes, I could see an electric vehicle as being economical and convenient and green. But being in a rental place, I am not allowed to put all that out there.
Yeah. Well, I was with these rolling blackouts when it was at its worst about 3 weeks ago. I had no power for 11 and a half hours out of 24.
I would say I'm running a lot.
So how do you charge your vehicle in those circumstances?
Exactly.
Wow. Exactly.
They just want to cripple people. That's all they want to do.
They want us to become slaves. They want us to become completely under their control.
That's right.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
All the governments of the world are doing this. It's not
Yep.
just our government.
No.
What
It's
I'm hearing here,
they're making money off of the backs of the people of the world, the working
Yeah.
people.
Always been that way.
Mhm.
it's more than just the United States having the problems. And what that means is we, the people of the world, either we stand up or we lose everything.
That's right. I
You-
agree with that.
That's exactly what we're doing here right now.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll get more and more people. I know people are gonna show up sooner or later.
I've
Well,
never seen
these
These
nobody
governments
late.
got to
so
stop
proud.
doing this. The governments need to stop hurting people.
Dang, 10
We need to put an end to the
You
to
got
the
a crowd.
hurt.
Is it the government?
Yeah, the governments of the world, all the different governments.
Yeah,
I
but
think ours is causing the most problem, like he said, because they keep getting into everybody's business, and they're doing it without our okay. I'm not
Exactly.
okay. I don't know about you, but I'm not okay with them going and getting into people's business like they are. I don't like that. It's not right.
No, and it's
Our money.
fighting over commodities too, a
Right.
lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
They
Just-
want this
just
and
so-
that from overseas while we have American farmers losing their properties and going out of business.
And people starving to death, and our homeless population is growing. Yet more and more people from all over the world are coming in to live here, and they're giving it everything to them on our dime.
right,
We're not
Oh,
going to
we-
be able to afford that pretty soon.
Our lot did a much more efficient way of getting rid of the farmers. They actually murdered them.
Oh,
Farmer
I saw a lot of those horrible stories the other year. That was awful.
over 40,000 farmers, and that
Wow.
includes, that's not, just for clarity, it's not only white farmers that are being killed, there are black farmers, and they are also being killed on their farms.
Wow.
and Bill Gates is
Um,
buying up all the farms over here by the
Yeah.
water.
I wonder if they're going to start doing that over here next.
They are
Yeah.
doing it here. They're trying to make the farmers either destroy their crops or
Yeah.
something. Anybody else hear that? You destroy your
Yeah.
crops.
Yeah,
and all
they're
food.
burning
And they
crops.
pay you.
They're
Yes.
they're,
Pay
they're
you.
paying
Burning
people
Right.
to get rid of crops to try and
Yeah.
manipulate the market price. And
Right.
if the farmers do
Right.
actually go along with this,
That's right.
Canada's approach is limit the amount of fertilizer so that you don't get the full yield.
Yeah. Yep.
Mhm.
Canada is bad. They turned bad. That guy that
Yeah.
they put in there, he's not a good man. He's not
You
good.
mean Trudeau?
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
not good for Canada.
No,
Trudeau is
and
not
then they
good
put
for
him,
Canada.
and then they put him back in there.
I know.
they
That's what I don't
Why does
understand.
this
How did that
happen?
happen? Yeah,
Why
right.
do they keep doing this?
It's nutty. I think it's those Dominion machines. It's got to be.
I didn't trust him from day one when I watched him do a speech and his eyebrows fell off.
Yep.
Literally, they did.
Yep, I remember that, Dwayne. I remember that. You're right. That did happen.
It was hilarious.
You're right. I remember that.
Well, I think Canada has the same problem we have. They have clusters of, in the cities, they're very liberal, and the rural people are not. And it's
So
the same.
much.
It's the same situation. It's like you can't get ahead of it
Yeah.
because they're outnumbered.
Can't
Can-
dumb down
can I-
farmers around the world. We're the ones that beat.
Can I draw one comparison to South Africa to America?
Sure.
All our liberal run municipalities
Mhm.
are bankrupt or defunct. Some of them have been placed under administration, they're so bad. The area I live in has something like 440 million rand reserves. We don't have potholes. Our streets are swept. Our grass verges are cut. Our local medical clinics work. We have libraries that are functional and actually have books in them. And they are attacking that. They try to merge us with the next door town or city to get rid of the opposition.
But you got to get rid of the inequity. You guys have too
municipality.
much. You probably have too many trees too. I mean, if you walk out and
Yes.
look in your backyard, I bet you have too much tree. There's too much shade. That's tree inequity.
That's right.
Yeah, we can't have that. You better share.
That's
I
good.
want you to dig up a tree in the backyard. I want you to move it over to your neighbor's house. You get that done
Yeah.
right now.
Or you don't get any.
Damn it, Bobby, this just ain't right.
Don't get any pudding if you don't do it.
Just put in a
And-
fake palm tree.
All the major
Fake palm tree.
all the major
Let him finish. Let him finish.
The metros are like Chicago, badly run, crime-ridden. There was literally a minivan. Our taxis are minivan because of the number of people they move.
Right.
And one actually disappeared halfway into a pothole the other day,
Wow.
literally into a pothole.
You got a pothole that ate half of a vehicle?
Pardon?
You have a pothole that ate half of a vehicle.
Half of a vehicle. They call it a sinkhole, but yeah.
Sinkhole, yeah.
Oh,
But it was a
God
pothole that
almighty.
washed out. A pothole that got washed out. In some of the roads, they've actually contemplated going in with a grader and turning them into dirt roads because it would be safer than a tar road.
Oh,
And I've seen the
so
state.
we're going to take paved roads and we're going to go backwards to dirt roads?
Is that what
Yes.
they're doing?
Are we here in a couple more years going to make them 2 tracks and get horses again with the buggies?
Yes. And I've seen a couple of roads in America, and that's how ours started.
So they want to get rid of all the vehicles, all the gas, all the vehicles eventually, and have everybody riding horse and buggy again.
That's right.
Well, aren't they worried about the horses' parts?
Yeah, and
No.
the
Because
other,
we'll have more
other-
horses. We'll have more horses then.
sorry, one more. Our police force in 2023 may, if the recruitment drive works, may be up to the numbers that we had in 2010. So our police force was also defunded, and they've just cut the police budget by millions of rands in the last budget. Same as what is happening. Our police force is national. It's not on a city basis. So that it's much easier. They just defund at one point, not city by city or state by state.
So they defunded the
Exactly.
police. You guys must have a much lower crime rate now, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the crime rate here is one of the highest in the world.
And they have 2 cops
Whoa.
and a what are the psychic
2 cops and a
person?
social worker?
Yeah. Is that what they have?
Yeah, we don't. I had my car battery stolen, my truck battery stolen, damaged, other items, and a week later they came back, stole more stuff. I'm still waiting for the police to arrive.
Jeez.
Are you suggesting that it's
That's-
difficult for the police to do their job when they're underfunded and understaffed?
Well, they haven't got a vehicle to come out because 2/3 of their vehicles are standing with no tires,
Mhm.
maintenance problems, mechanical problems, and they're
They're
just
defunded.
standing.
Yeah, they're defunded. There's no money for the repair of the vehicles and the equipment that they use.
I have to say it. I've got to say it. Now we know what happened to Barney Fife.
Yeah. There you go.
He got defunded.
Some of our police stations have been condemned because they are dangerous and unoccupiable. The one police station hasn't had power for, I think they said 9 months, because they haven't paid, the state hasn't paid their power account, so their power was cut. So at night, the police lock the gates because they can't work in the dark and they will be attacked.
Oh my God, that's terrible.
So
Yeah, man.
Boy, the good people of the world just need to get up and say, "Stop this! Enough is enough! Enough already."
So last week they didn't like the level of support they were getting in the one predominantly black area, so they burnt the police station down.
Oh, gee. Now they have no police.
So here's a question for you. The well-off people, the elites as we call them, they're not really elite. How do they, are their lives affected by this nonsense? I mean, do they have protection? Are their batteries getting stolen? I mean, you know,
The crime
disturbing.
hit them.
We'll start with the politician. Every politician was issued with a petrol-driven generator,
Oh, how
so
sweet.
that they don't suffer during the rolling blackouts.
Unbelievable.
They have our politicians have what they call the blue light brigade, which is almost like the president's cavalcade. So they are unaffected by hijackings, which are rife in South Africa. And then they have security guards, etc., paid for by the state. And then obviously the elites can afford that. They stay in gated villages.
Of course.
So
it's the
yes.
same as over here. Like
exactly.
But it's not really paid for by the elites. It's paid for by the people because they get their money from the people. Or they steal it from the people.
By the elite, I mean the cadres of the ruling party.
Yeah. Same people.
In South Africa, your qualifications mean diddly squat.
Yep.
If you apply for a job, you have to be from a certain racial group, and you have to be connected politically. Otherwise, your chances of a major position are pretty slim.
Doesn't that sound
So it's
familiar?
almost like nepotism.
Yeah, that's really sad.
Boy, that sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's all over the place.
Yeah,
People
Pelosi,
fly.
Newsom.
Are you suggesting that our politicians in the United States have another standard of living for themselves and another standard of laws and rules?
Why, we would
How dare you?
Oh no, that's against YouTube rules.
Who was it that asked for or that just got a bunch of guns? Was it the CDC or some?
Oh, the IRS.
Oh, it was the IRS. That's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah, because see, they're planning on auditing more people. They got 80,000. They asked for 80,000 more agents to audit more Americans. So they're planning on coming to your home.
And a few million more 9mm rounds. I wonder if they're planning on having trouble.
Yeah.
Right. Tax audits of the man in the street were not that common in South Africa. It's been introduced heavily currently.
I didn't understand that. What is it heavy in the streets? What did you say? I'm sorry. Can you repeat that, please?
Auditing. Tax audits was not a very common place in South Africa to private individuals.
Tax audits. Oh,
tax audits. and they are now being heavily introduced in South Africa against the Mr. Average.
Boom.
That kind
Oh
of what
boy.
happened to me last year.
Because why? Because the Democrats need more money.
Yep.
To line their pockets.
It's not the Democrats. I hate
Yeah.
when
You got
You're right, it's the liberal. Who is
You
it?
got their money.
It's-
You got money, and it's theirs. Doggone you.
it's the
How dare you
NWO,
have
the
money.
cabal, the Illuminati, the elites, whatever you want to call them. It's them.
Yep, that
It's
money
them.
belongs to them, not
Yeah,
you.
it's not,
What are you
it isn't
talking
just
about?
the Democrats.
That's
They've kept their
they're
money in their
thinking this way.
family throughout
You
years
remember
and years
some
and
of the
years.
some of the tax trouble I had, right? Fighting with the
Our-
IRS. Now, I
Our
have
fuel
been
price, our,
most of my life. Then all of a sudden they treat
Just-
me like
just
I just
for-
crossed the border. They want me
our
to be
fuel,
who I am.
Hold on,
Wayne,
bud.
can't hear you.
sorry, our fuel price of about 23 Rand, by some calculations, could be 10 Rand a litre. The balance, a large portion of that money is tax that is collected by the government.
Right.
Yeah.
Our fuel is taxed
Yeah,
by
same here.
taxes and levies is about 40% of the fuel price.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Same here. Same here.
do you pay wage tax?
Yeah, we pay as you earn, as they call it.
Okay.
Plus we pay 15% value added tax on most goods. A couple of essential goods, bread and milk, and a few other. Grits is the staple food of
Grits. Yeah.
50 million of South Africa's population.
Wow, that's amazing.
So they
Nothing
don't.
says I own you like pay me your taxes.
Yes.
Should I tell him the real tax rate here in Kentucky?
Yeah.
6%.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah,
actually
we-
low.
I'm not sure what our tax rate is on. I haven't paid tax for a few years because I'm retired.
Mm.
And but yeah, it's our tax rate. Our maximum tax on income is something in the 40%.
Ooh.
Wow.
And believe you me, you don't have to be earning a hell of a lot of money to pay over 30% tax.
Good Lord.
The tax base in South Africa as a percentage of the population, I'm talking personal income tax. The last figure I heard was something like 7% of the population.
Oh dear.
Wow.
The other 93% pay little or no tax. But considering we've got a 40% plus unemployment rates, that also helps to explain why.
Oh dear.
Hey, I have a question.
Yep.
How do you get on, and this is for Carolyn, how do you get on the YouTube? My husband wants to listen in. Do I send him the link or what do I
Yeah,
do?
you could send them a link, sure.
Yeah, open up the YouTube yourself, and then hit the share button on the YouTube, and you can share it right to him.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and don't be afraid, or he can come into the Zoom room. Don't be afraid to ask these questions because
Yeah,
not
yeah,
everybody is
we
used
have
to-
another gentleman from Australia too. If you'd like to say something too about what he's heard from the gentleman from South Africa, Mr. Dingo Dundee. What's up?
Yeah,
buddy?
g'day guys.
Hello
Sorry,
there.
You guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Sound good, Brett.
Yeah. Just as a matter of interest, where in South Africa do you live?
I stay near Johannesburg, between Johannesburg and a town called Vereniging.
Yeah,
So
I
I'm
know.
about-
I used to live in Simonstown.
Okay, that's down the Cape. Now I'm
Yeah.
in Gauteng near Johannesburg, Johannesburg, then Alberton, and then my little town called Meyerton.
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
Um,
I was in South Africa back in the early 70s, so it's by the sound of it, it is way different from when I was there.
yeah,
Your rand
the
was
West-
powerful. You know,
Yep.
it was a great place.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Are you experiencing the
West-
same things though that he is in Australia, Brett?
Oh yeah.
Is it getting
Fuel
bad
for
there?
us. Oh yeah. Let's see. A head of lettuce is $10.
Wow.
Let's see. Our fuel is about $2.30 a litre. Now we're metric, exactly the same as South Africa. So
It's about
we're
$8
paying
a gallon.
nearly $9 a gallon
Yep.
for
Wow.
fuel.
Yeah.
Our
Man.
dollar is worth absolutely next to nothing. We've just had the same elections like you've had. We've got, in our country, we have Liberal and Labor. Labor got in. They're a very socialist type communist party sort of thing. Them and the tree huggers are now running the country. And they've just come out and said that they're going to spend $430 billion on climate change. Now, we're only 25 million people.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you going to get that money? I mean, we're already in debt for $1 trillion. Every year, we've got to pay $100 billion in interest only. But we're only 25 million people. The tax on our fuel is incredible. I mean, we've got all the same issues, all of them. And isn't it funny? It's all in Western Christian nations. We're all suffering the same thing.
And they're trying to do the same thing here that they're doing to you folks.
So isn't that
Yeah.
what you said earlier about somebody
World
mentioned
order.
taking Christ out of America?
The New World Order.
Well, yeah. So who do they profess to, the New World Order?
Money.
Moloch.
Themselves.
Could I tell you something that's happening here quickly? Now that you mention it, they have just called for tenders and people to introduce what they want to call it ancestral-based religion.
And what does that mean?
You listen to you listen to the ghosts of your forefathers.
Oh,
Not quite voodoo, but not very far off from voodoo.
right.
Wow.
And one of the motivations is that the colonial and Western religions do not actually apply to people that are from Africa.
Wow.
So yes, Christianity is also being attacked here.
Yeah, I was just going to say that sounds like a road to persecution.
Yeah.
The very first thing they did with COVID was ban all church meetings.
Right.
Right.
We did
They
here
did
too.
that everywhere.
Yeah, here as
So
well.
like I say, they would make themselves kings and queens.
But
Right.
the last places that were opened up for occupation fully were churches.
Yeah, they are not kings and queens, and they are not elites.
I think here they tried to fight it in Florida.
And they are not our leaders. They're supposed to be our representatives, not our leaders.
Did they arrest a priest or a minister or something? Something like that in Florida. I mean, come on.
Well, I know they
They
did
live-
in Canada. And
Yeah, I was
I
just
got
gonna
thrown out of
say.
jail.
Right.
Yeah.
They just arrested that guy for reading a Bible in Seattle,
Oh,
and the police stood by while the demonstrators against him destroyed his microphone and speakers,
Right.
and they told him to disperse, and he said, I'm allowed to read from my Bible, and they arrested him, dragged him, tore his hands to shreds, and put him in jail. and they reserve the right. There's no formal complaint being received from the public, but if one does, he will be tried, probably found guilty and jailed. I read
my
it, funny
gosh.
enough, 2 days ago.
Are they
send-
letting criminals out over there in
Sorry?
Australia, or are they letting the criminals out? Because over here they're letting the criminals out, and all the good guys are getting arrested.
Right.
It's like
Cops
January
try-
6th,
Your
August 7th.
prison system is private. See, that's the difference. Like here in Australia, our prison system is either state, territory, or federal. But in America,
It's not
most
private
of your
anymore.
prisons are privately owned.
Not anymore. Because when they were running them private, it became a corporation, and they kept needing more criminals. So they were they were creating criminals out of non-criminals. No matter what you did, they threw you in jail.
And
Like if you were speeding, you got to go to jail. It's criminal speeding, so you got to go to jail because the
And-
prisons needed the money.
Joe
Yeah.
Biden was a big part of it.
Yes, he was. So they actually stopped that when they found out that it was creating criminals out of good people. They did stop that. I know that because there was a few of those prisons were here in New Mexico. I remember those. They were up out in Moriarty in the mountains. So and they're now closed. They closed them a few years ago, and they don't run them. But they do have the police force, with the 2 police and the social worker here.
Yeah, that's so ridiculous.
Yeah, they do have that. I saw that. Yeah, it is pretty ridiculous. Our crime rate is high, just like everybody else's too. I mean, it's really high. Our murder rate is up. There are thieves everywhere. You can't trust anybody.
No.
We got illegal aliens flooding in. Shit, they live in my neighborhood. That this is where they live. I live in the area they come to. A lot of their family lives here.
You
Their
also
family
have
My next door neighbor is an illegal alien.
In the middle
you
of
also have reverse racism where you are, Joe.
Yes.
Yeah.
They
Yes,
follow
yes,
you.
they do. Yes, they do. They follow me
That's
when I go to this grocery store, they follow me through the grocery store, like I'm gonna steal.
Yes.
It's really weird.
And you always say
I mean,
because
I
you have a
can't run from
white
them.
last name.
Yeah, white last name. But I am half Hispanic, so
It's
some
called
people
guilt
some
by
people
association.
accept it, some people don't.
Yeah.
Is what it is.
They will come up in the middle of the night and steal a copper out of your air conditioning.
Yes, they do that. They take them out of your house too. They'll pull it right straight out of your house. Oh yeah, they'll do that.
Can I draw a comparison to Australia and South Africa?
Absolutely.
We had in 1948, when the old apartheid government came in the racial classification was 8 million black, 5 million European, and a couple of million Asian and mixed. By their own choice, they call themselves coloreds. They are Malay, black, white, mixed blood race.
Mm-hmm.
The current numbers in South Africa, 60 million, of which about 50 are black, plus a couple of million illegal immigrants here, also from Nigeria, Ghana, Ethiopia, Pakistan, you name it, they're here. And there are about 3 million, maybe 3.5 million whites, and about 2 million other races. And America has got a lot of illegal immigrants.
Yeah.
And their rate that their population grows, 8 million we're talking, say, from 1950 to 2020, in 70 years has gone from 8 million to 60 million. 50 million. So you know what you're looking at. Our other population groups being the mainly Muslim Indians and the Africans believe in polygamy.
Oh, really?
So,
But
yep.
we don't.
But it's like 12 children is quite the norm.
Well, you
Yeah.
do if you're Mormon.
Whoa.
I wouldn't want to pop all them out.
I know, right?
Yeah. So that is how your demographics could change.
God,
And that
I
is
hope not.
why. And and the values, we were a Christian country, and all the Christian Judea countries are the ones that were under attack.
Right.
And they've been attacked by illegal immigration.
Yeah. And America needs to vote against this tyranny.
Absolutely.
Get out and vote America.
It's
Yep,
more than
November.
in the United States of America. It's around the world.
Yes.
The
Well, what
voice-
happens?
Yeah, but if
in
America burns, the
happens
world
around.
burns.
Yeah.
That's just a fact. There'll be a domino effect.
Mhm.
Then just drawing a comparison to Australia, I was talking to someone that's just come back. Apparently, your native inhabitants have also increased quite dramatically recently.
Yes.
Oh, the Aboriginals, yeah. Yeah, the Aboriginal population has increased. And they're actually, for the first time, they're going to have a voice in Parliament.
Yes.
Wow.
But that was something else we had the other week, because we've got a new government, new Parliament, and everything else. At the beginning of Parliament, we have the Lord's Prayer. Now, the Speaker of the House, or the one who controls the Parliament, because she's an atheist, she wanted the Lord's Prayer taken over. And
Yes.
the backlash was incredible. We still got it.
Ours has been taken away. We have soothsayers that walk in. The closest I can give to that is like a shaman,
Right.
Right.
and they come in, and that is how our Parliament goes.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't it? It's strange that we're all going through the same thing. I mean, they were telling us because of all the high fuel prices, it was the war between Russia and Ukraine. Now, we don't get anything from Ukraine. We don't get any fuel from Ukraine. We don't deal with Ukraine.
They're lying to us.
And we don't
right?
get anything off Russia either. This is how pathetic it's become. Australia is very, very rich in mineral wealth, uranium, gold, opals, fuel, gas.
Right.
We have everything. But what have our governments done? They've leased it all out to corporations. The corporations, for example, we used to refine a lot of our own fuel, but now we're only down to 2 refineries. We used to have like a dozen. So, but now we have our fuel. Sorry, hold on. That's my phone. Our fuel goes from here to Singapore, gets refined, and then we buy it back. Same with our gas. Our gas goes overseas, gets done, and then we buy it back.
It's just silly.
So we're getting it all third hand. And yet all of these assets belong to Australians, belong to the citizens of this country. But all the corporations have gone in. And the main thing is these corporations are not paying any tax.
Right. They're the bad ones. The corporations along with the heads of state.
Where are the corporations from? Are they from China, maybe?
Well, the bottom line is most of the corporations, was about 90% are owned by 2 corporations, BlackRock and Vanguard.
Oh, wow.
BlackRock owns everything.
And Vanguard.
Yep. BlackRock and Vanguard, yeah. They own everybody and everything.
Conspiracies.
It's just so weird.
Oh, yeah, get that tinfoil hat on.
Yeah, it's like, it seems like it all has to do with, they talked about it, believe it or not, in that the Pirates of the Caribbean. You know how they have the trade lines? It seems
Oh,
like it's
the
all about the trade lines. Whoever owns the trade lines, wherever the product is moving, whoever owns those is strumming the strings, so to speak.
well, the
You know
East
what I mean?
India Company. That's who it
Yeah.
was. The East
Right,
India
right,
Company.
right,
Now
right. But is
they
that
were
who
the
it is,
first
you know?
major corporation,
Right, right.
and they
And
were
the
also,
governments
believe
are
it
the
or
ones
not,
that created the pirates. So,
yeah, they were also the ones responsible for putting opium into China.
right, right. You're right. You're right.
There's so much. If people go and
there.
research, it's all there.
Yeah, they found out that it grew really good there. They knew this a long
Well,
time ago.
Cape Town used to
it
be
was
a
a spare
a
crop they
layover
had in
stop.
India. That's
Right.
how opium started.
Right.
Cape Town was a layover stop for the East Indies. That's how the whites got integrated into South Africa.
Right.
Well, the Dutch East Indian Company basically owned South Africa.
Yeah.
From
It
1965
was their
until
recreation area.
And who was
Until-
that company?
it was
Black Rock and Vanguard? Is that who that was? Is that who that turned into be?
sorry, I didn't hear.
Did they actually turn into Vanguard?
I'm not sure what happened to them. I think they eventually fell, by the way, after the British war with Holland. But up until 1810, I think it was 1800, somewhere around there, South Africa was, for all intents and purposes, run by the Dutch East West Indian Company.
And they used it as their playground.
Yep. And they basically stripped it of all its mineral wealth. I must say that the infrastructure in South Africa was one of the best in the world. And we actually, those that haven't been stolen, because they stole all our railway lines during the lockdown, literally stole the rail tracks and sold it as scrap metal, which is leading to a 6 month ban on all sales of scrap metal. We had the longest railway tracks anywhere in the world. You could get anywhere in South Africa with railway tracks in 1994. That's no longer the case, but that's how it used to be. But what did they do? They just let the infrastructure go. Another way of crippling the country, another way of crippling the people,
Right.
and turning it into a welfare state.
Let's hurt the people some more.
And that's what they're doing to America.
Yep.
Exactly.
And that's because we let them.
That's right.
We're too busy keeping up with the Joneses.
You know, also reminds you of that movie, Trading Places, where they play with people's lives for what, $1?
Yep.
Oh, that was a good movie. Actually, I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a good movie.
I think we busted them out, though. We'll see what happens, won't we? Because what happens in our election is what will have to determine what's going to happen around the world. That's what I believe.
We've got major elections coming up next year.
Mm-hmm.
And at the current rate of which by-elections and that have been held, and based on opinion polls, etc., there will very possibly be a new government, even if it's a coalition government. But the ruling party is basically on notice that they will no longer be in power. We can just hope and pray.
Yeah, we the people of the world can't live under their tyranny. We can't. It's just, it's wrong.
Too funny. I think there goes all the topics we were going to discuss today.
Yeah.
We're covering them.
What is that?
We are covering a lot of these topics.
We are actually. It's just
I love it.
I mean, they're farther advanced than what the United States is. And I mean, we're just starting to go through what they've already experienced, you know. And if we don't put our foot down and say, "Hey, man, that's not America,"
I think we've been going through it. We just didn't wake up to it until recently.
Exactly, Carol. We've
It
been
takes
going through it. And it may sound trite when I say that, but it's too many people trying to keep up with the Joneses. They're
Yeah.
more worried about making a boat payment or going on vacation or some fucking cruise than to look at what's going on.
Maybe some politicians are right. We had it too easy.
We did.
Good for too long.
We have. You're right. We have had it good, too easy, too good. Way
When?
too long.
When did we have it easy or good? When in the last few hundred years have we ever had it easy
Well,
or
obviously,
good? It's a
everybody thinks we
lie.
have.
I would say the 50s.
So
That's
No, pretty rough.
we've had it
I'd say the late 40s, early 50s.
after
Times were rough.
after World War II. I don't
Yeah.
know. I mean, people were just rebuilding different
You
countries.
know, it was rough. You know, I mean, the World War II was rough, and after it was rough. I mean, you know, this state where there's a lot of poor people here. I mean, it was hard recovering. I mean, it was fun, but we didn't have much food, but it was a good time.
Oh.
Hmm.
Oh, you're not getting out of this. Jill, when you're supposed to sing.
Oh no.
Come on, Jill. Come on.
You see, at the end of the Second World War, Australia, because we were so isolated, Australia became actually quite industrial. We were building aircraft, we were building locomotives, agriculture was booming. Everything was booming. But people have got to understand, the elites have been doing this for decades. This hasn't just been an overnight thing.
Decades.
One bit at a time.
Cheney's family needed to make money because Cheney's family funds. They make the equipment for war.
Hey, Liz.
Yeah, Liz Cheney. Yeah. They needed money. That's how they're funding. They're funding. The wars make money. Wars are all about money for them.
Of course.
What else do they own into?
It's a big game for them.
Look at the guy they just say they just killed. Wasn't he killed like 3 or 4 times already?
Yeah.
And aren't we supposed to be out of a war with them? So why are we killing this guy if we're already out of a war with him? Didn't we pull out of Afghanistan and leave them all of that equipment so that they could sell it and kill us? Isn't that what we did? Come on, man. I thought that's what we did. Didn't we do that? Joe Biden did that. I know that.
Who owns the big priority of the epinephrine shots, the EpiPens?
Pharmaceuticals. They're making lots of money.
Pfizer, I think.
Yeah.
Almost $800 a pop.
We're all in it together, man. During the shutdowns, only the corporations made money. How come they're the only ones that made money during the shutdowns? Every corporation stayed open. Did you notice that?
Mm-hmm.
But all the people had to do what the government said. They don't own us, but yet everybody acted like they did.
Think of all the people that started a business in the prior administration because regulations were loosened. So many people were living their dream, and then bam, it was over. But the corporations, it wasn't over for them, like you just said.
Right.
How interesting is that?
Yeah, trust the science. Where did that come from? You never trust science.
Part
You
of the
question
plan.
science. Trust the facts.
Right.
Yeah, trust the International Monetary Fund.
You always do that. That's just
Trust
silly.
the banks.
Yeah, right.
Trust
Because they would never lie.
Let's trust the Federal Reserve, why don't we?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
They're so
Federal
honest.
Reserve,
so
most honest people out there.
I actually saw the profit figures in the UK today on Facebook,
Mhm.
and the drug companies and a few other specialist players made biggest profits ever during last year during the lockdowns than that they had. I don't have the figures with me, but it was billions of pounds that they were making each, far more profit than they've ever made before.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And how come they made all that money? Where did they get all the money if everybody was locked down? Where did all that money
Because the
come
governments gave it to them.
Right.
from?
that's why.
How did the governments get the money? Where did the money come from that the governments had to pay them? Because the governments only get the money if the people of the country work.
Yeah, but
No,
what
that-
they do
that-
is they borrow the money. Even though the
Borrow.
government got the
They're
money,
stealing
they
our
borrow
taxes.
the money.
From
We
who,
have
Brad?
taxes upon taxes. We buy a house and there's still property tax. We buy a
Well,
car.
who did
and
we
still
get the
have
money
tax.
from?
Tax.
We got the money from China.
Give to
China,
China.
they
How much-
literally put us in China's pocket.
We've been there.
I know.
All that shit started under Bill Clinton with
Right.
NAFTA. I saw
But
the
that's
job.
where they're getting the money
gone.
to promise all this other money. You know, and
Now
then
they
have
give you
what,
money.
Who was it? Argentina. They come up and they says, well, you know what? We ain't got no money to pay you. We ain't never gonna have the money to pay you. So guess what? We're gonna go ahead and say our debts are clear and we don't owe you no more money. See ya. Peace out. Maybe
Here's a
that's
little
what we can do.
reminder. Remember when Bill Clinton went to Tiananmen Square and he walked around with his head in the sky and he said, I love this place.
Yes, I
Boy,
did.
did that. I will never forget that. I
I
thought,
don't remember
"You-
that.
Oh my, I thought, well, that
Well, you
explains
did.
a lot.
Did he really? He said, "I love."
Yes, he did.
Yes, he did. And you see him talk. You see him talk on TV where they're on the Senate floor. They're talking and they're really going at it and they're really fighting each other with words. And then you see them walking up the aisle at the end and they're hitting each other in the ass.
Oh God.
You know, like good job. You know, that's
Junior,
I don't get that. That's
what did
that's
they both say?
Nothing surprises me anymore. I'll tell
And
you.
Bush Senior. And their exact words, what we're talking about is a new world order.
yep.
That was senior, right? Yeah.
Bush Senior, 1991 is
I don't want to be part of the new
to
world
the
order.
UN.
Even Kerry said
Yeah,
the New
the
World
UN.
Order. It's been popping up in a lot of politicians speaking.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I remember Reagan tried to warn us,
Yeah, you did.
and then I think he was shot for it.
Yes.
Right? Makes sense. Here's the conspiracies.
That's where the Brady Bill come from.
Yeah, I know. Does it really help the Second Amendment?
Not at all.
Right.
It's just restricting guns. That's when they
That's-
jumped on the opportunity.
That was the
He wouldn't have
whole
been
point.
shot if he'd have had to go through a background check.
Well, if you lose your Second Amendment, you've lost.
Mm.
I don't know. We can go to a local flea market and pick up a Saturday night special. Come on.
There's like more than a dozen people missing tonight. I guess we started a little late, and I'm glad it's our first time doing this. So I just want to thank you all for participating. Debbie, you haven't said anything. Love to hear your voice. And Jill,
Yes.
you're going to hear your voice. Come on.
So where
Do it.
Oh,
Come on,
La,
Jill.
la,
Do it.
la, 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 la.
I've just been
Okay.
listening to everybody else talk, you know, it's just, I just been interesting.
It's yeah, that's exactly what it's
Deb-
about.
Debbie's
But
ready. She's
don't-
got her headphones on.
yeah, she's got her pink phones on. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid
See,
to.
they're there. They even light up.
Oh, you can find them in the dark.
See?
can't hear anything. I can't see or hear anything. Come on, Jill. Jill's gonna sing for us. Let's go, girl.
Oh, I'm just singing "My Country 'Tis of Thee,"
Which is beautiful.
but everybody has to sing too.
All right, we'll go with you.
Okay.
We don't have a bouncing ball.
Okay. So it'll be
My balls are okay.
My balls are okay.
it'll be la. My country 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride, from every mountainside, let freedom ring. Very good, guys.
Thank you, Jill.
You're welcome.
That was
That's
gorgeous.
embarrassing.
No, it was not. It was absolutely stunning.
You have a great voice.
Thank you very much.
Right? Wasn't that perfect?
Oh, it was okay.
but I know.
Do it, Peanut. You little
It was
motherfucker.
beautiful. Don't doubt yourself.
Oh,
Hey, I sing in my car by myself.
I sing in the shower.
I think in the shower, yeah.
I sing by myself. I don't like other people around if I'm singing. Thank you very much. I can't hold a tune.
I have
Hey,
rhythm, but I don't.
everybody has a gift.
That's right.
Not sing.
Oh my God, my gift is this having a loud mouth then? Oh boy, what a gift.
Being a loudmouth. Well, it's time to be a loudmouth. I wanted to bring up Brittany Reiner. Is that her name, Brittany Reiner?
Griner.
Reiner.
Isn't it a G?
Leave her there.
Reiner.
Leave him there.
Leave
Leave
him.
it there.
I got a message that they accepted.
Yeah, yeah. Right.
They what?
They accepted the offer.
Oh,
here?
really?
Uh-huh.
Oh, what a shame. I thought Russia was going to have a really good penal basketball team.
I mean, she just
See,
signed a 9-year contract and they're
I-
going to trade her away.
I don't ever want to see her kneel again.
But she,
Oh, hey.
you know, she probably will. That's the thing about it. She's gonna come over here and slap us back in the face.
What a cow.
It hates America, and it broke the law over there that it knew it broke. It needs to just stay there and rot.
It needs to. I love that.
Thank you.
Well,
I
the
just
Marine veteran needs to be out before he does.
what?
We got a Marine
Yeah.
over there, been in prison for 3
Oh,
years for
that's
getting into a
right.
bar fight.
That's right.
Bar
How
fight.
ridiculous.
Yep. He needs
Well,
to come
Marine,
forward
I can
first.
understand them wanting to keep, but this thing over pot, no, it don't sound right.
It's illegal.
I don't
period.
care. It just doesn't. sound
That's
right.
just it. They
No,
don't
it was
care
a
if it's
political
not fair.
statement.
It's
That's why
illegal
they
in
did
their
it.
country.
Exactly. It's a political statement, and or it might be a man. If
Of
it's a
course it is.
man, then Russia's huge into sports. You don't mess with their athletes.
Right.
Hmm.
I could see them giving him 9 years because of that, not because of medical marijuana or whatever the hell she had. I mean,
It's
illegal
illegal.
or not.
It's illegal there.
Illegal.
And they'll do anything to thwart
Hey,
an
just
American.
because it's legal here, don't make it legal there. You go
I
over
didn't-
into Singapore and get caught
I'm
dealing
just
drugs.
saying, I
you get the
don't
death
see
penalty.
Russia making that big of a deal out of that. I just don't.
Hey,
On steroids.
go take
Fostering.
some marijuana down to Mexico and see what happens to you.
Well, there was a
Russia
news
isn't
article about
communist
2
anymore.
years ago that came out of Russia,
Yes, they are.
Gotta be
and
like
these
So you
and
say?
these 2 guys were caught with 3 crates of AK-47s.
Mhm.
Now they only got 6 years, so 9 years for a vape pen and a bit
There
of
you
THC
go.
and all that was
Thank you.
excessive. It was a political statement, and it was
Right.
basically to snub America. And look, it's worked, because what did Biden do? Come out, oh no, you're not going to have one of our people. We're going to get them back, and I'll make sure that.
Only because she's black.
Yeah,
That's
it's
it.
just all political.
he's
It's-
black.
Well,
and it was
But Bill
excessive.
Gates-
the he is black.
Let's just
Because
call
it's
it
a black it.
Right.
call
Hey, I
it-
have a question. Does Bill Gates have any kids?
Let's hope not.
Yes,
Oh God, I hope not.
yes,
Yes,
he does.
He
Does
has
he?
2 or 3.
I'm not sure.
I remember
Right.
reading that he won't give them money. He's making them work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder what will
No, he's
happen
got-
when he dies.
The same way his dad did him. And what his dad did was just, he said, okay, I will buy this program for you from HR or HP. He bought the program from HP. And Bill Gates had 2 friends or 2 or 3 friends that helped him write the program for Windows.
Oh my gosh.
I know, because I was there. I saw it.
He's
I saw
got
him
2
come
or
into
3
my office trying to sell it.
He's got 2 or 3 children, and they are only allowed on
They
their
don't get
cell
nothing.
phones and that for an hour a day,
Mhm.
and
They don't get
computers, and they're also not vaccinated.
Oh,
And,
that's interesting.
and he's giving the bulk of his fortune. He's not leaving it to his family. He's giving it to the Bill Gates Foundation.
Oh my
Of
gosh.
course he is.
I think it's 60 billion or something that he's giving away to the Bill Gates Foundation. That was his last interview in last week.
Here's my little
I bet his
conspiracy.
kids love him.
Oh God. Love him.
Oh, Daddy.
I don't think that's them. I do not think that's the same Bill Gates and Melinda Gates as it was 8 years ago, 9 years ago.
He kind of looks like the same guy, only older, that come into the store.
She looks like a he.
Yeah, she's.
They're
She
probably
didn't look
clones.
That right. There's something. And no, he looks like a she now, and she looks like a he.
They were kicked out of Kenya in Africa.
Why?
Yes,
They
In
ran
India.
measles trials.
In
They
India,
ran
a
measles.
lot in India.
In India, they were injecting chickens to make them more plump or whatever.
And now all of a sudden we got the monkeypox. We'll go figure.
Right.
Right.
Exactly. That's
They were doing measles trials on young girls
that's right.
and they sterilized something like 1,000 of them.
Oh my
And then they
gosh.
realized that it was actually a permanent sterilization vaccination they were giving them.
Oh,
So this is why I don't believe it's them, because one time, what was it, Ancestry.com, they had come out and said Melinda and Bill Gates died in 2012 in India because of what they did to the children and people over there. And the laws obviously aren't the same. They just went and rebelled and just killed them. They killed them. Kids were being born without arms, disfigured. They were diseases because of all the vaccinations they were trying.
Yeah.
They think they're being helped, and they're not. They're being
so Bill
they're
Gates's
test rats.
kids are not vaccinated, and yet he's the one that's pushed the COVID vaccination.
Yes, ma'am.
That is
That is true.
All I have
disgusting.
to say on that is bingo.
Right.
But isn't Melinda's mother one of the founders of what was it, Planned Parenthood?
I don't know.
Oh, you mean Margaret Sanger? No, I don't. Well, she
Or
might have been.
was it?
I mean, I don't know if she. It was another
Interesting
person.
question.
Singer is actually German.
Or otherwise, it's Mary
Oh, Mark.
Abortion Clinic. One of them, she was one of the founders of.
Yeah,
Someone, yeah, they were connected to the abortion clinics, and then they made it the Gates Foundation.
That actually
Okay.
rings a bell.
I know it does. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Who are
I
the
thought they were
children?
running
Between
abortion
Planned
clinics in
Parenthood
India.
and the Gates Foundation? Is that what you're asking? Is there a connection? Probably. There's probably a really big connection. You
All
know,
right.
And here's
Well,
something I never could understand. I have never seen a political party want to exterminate themselves.
Yeah.
But they were working on it.
Yes.
Wasn't they? You're killing off your voting base.
it's
They
not
don't care
political
because they
parties.
got computers.
It's not political parties. There's no such thing as the left and right anymore.
no.
It's
No,
us
it's just
against
us and
them. It's
them.
good against evil. It's, right against wrong. It's that simple.
That sounds like an old ministry song.
We should have talked about music more. But there's so many other subjects that people could, like Nancy wanted to mention about the library.
Yes.
Do you want to go, Nan?
Well, I don't want to give too many specifics since this is apparently, I'm not going to tell you anything about myself personally, but just in general.
Yes, there is a connection between the Bill Gates Foundation and Planned Parenthood. They gave them a $1.7 million gift.
Oh,
It was
dear.
a gift.
So, yes, definite connection.
Yes, there is a connection.
Keep aborting our children. Go on,
Mhm.
Nan.
Sorry.
That's all right. I just want people to be aware of, well, obviously we know what they're doing to the children, and which is very sad because I think a lot of this is obviously it's a distraction, so they
Mhm.
can't, they don't know what's really going on. The a lot of the youth, and I'm talking from 5 on up, because they're the academia, the publishers, the writers, they're all in this bizarre realm of pushing an agenda that is just destructive to children, and it's in everything now. Everything.
Yeah, where's the list for
Literature,
that lady?
movies, books. And you don't dare. I think the publishers must be telling people, we're not going to publish your book unless you include all this garbage in it. And I see it all the time, and it's very disturbing. And I'm hoping the parents keep waking up and fight. They have to fight. It can't
Right, we all
continue.
have to fight,
It
especially
cannot continue.
Right.
Yeah,
Cannot
but if you look at China and you look at the young generations in China, they're 100% different to our younger generation.
Excuse me? They what?
If you look at China and their younger generations, they're well educated, well fed, very fit, not much obesity or anything else. And now look at our younger generations.
Oh, I know.
We're being destroyed.
Right, because they're superseding us in academics, which is, they're not pushing this garbage on them. They're way ahead of us now in science and math, and I don't know what else, but if you can't teach, if they're not going to teach our children the value of Western civilization, and that doesn't mean they can't include some other things, but they're destroying our past. They're not letting the children see how things are connected and how the value of fighting for what's right, stuff like that. Now it's just, I don't even know what to call it.
They're too busy teaching the kids CRT, and
They're not teaching, they're indoctrinated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not allowed to be free thinkers. They're being told what to think, and if you don't think this, well, or else,
And that's what they hate the students. As soon as they walk out of the classroom, they just say,
Well, you guys remember they were trying to They couldn't get, they had a lot of bad teachers, and you can't fire a teacher.
No.
So what they made it where that they could, if the children weren't learning what they were supposed to learn from the teachers, then the school would lose money. And they could eventually lose their job. You see, because the school's not making any money because the kids aren't learning. So what they did was they came up with this test that the kids are supposed to take each year, and it basically tells on the teachers if the teachers are doing their job or not.
Right.
Most of them are not. I can tell you right now, most of them are not. Okay, I mean, my kids would go to school and the teacher would say, okay, open up the books to such and such page and start reading. Then he would sit down and he wouldn't say another word to them, and he would open up his newspaper and read the newspaper.
Yeah,
So,
I know.
So now what they do is they teach the kids how to pass this test, and that's all they're teaching them.
That's right. I remember that when my son was in school.
They're following a curriculum that they know nothing about.
Right.
All they're doing is getting a paycheck and they're babysitting every day.
That's right.
And they get a 12-month paycheck for 9 months' work.
Right. Remember, your child goes to the school for only a certain amount of years, like say 2, 3, 4 years. Some of them drop out and they don't attend school that long. Well, they have to stay at the school for how long is their career? You know what I mean? So your kid becomes that it doesn't matter, your tax dollars do, but not your child.
You know, my fear is, okay, think of not long ago, you know, writers like Tolkien and C.S. Lewis and you know, all those people, they were classically trained in history and literature and philosophy, mythology, and it helped create their their minds were able to work properly. Now we have like 2 generations of mush. It's just mush. Who's gonna write? Who's gonna be our future? Who is gonna write what's going on now?
We're going back to the Stone Age.
I mean, this is what my fear is. Like, it's just
They
awful.
just want to dumb us down.
Yeah.
You know, serfs are dumb. They
That's
can't
right.
read. They just do slave labor. We are still slaves, regardless.
Well, and they're right. They're not even being taught how to form a proper sentence. You know,
They can't
use
even spell.
this lingo that you don't even know what they're talking about.
And they don't teach cursive writing anymore.
Right.
No, I know.
That was just odd to me.
Like, how did they get a picture of a sloth if they're extinct?
Right.
I mean, I'm what, 57,
little
and I remember 50 years ago, the education I went through. Like, we had, I think you call it shop. So we had metalwork, woodwork, we had mathematics, we had science, we had biology, we had commerce, which was learning about business, we had history.
Right.
And we learned all these things, and I learned everything from the Napoleonics all the way through when I went to school. And the exams were very, very hard. The kids today, all they're interested in is the internet, trying to do videos on TikTok. I think TikTok's one of the most toxic social media platforms I've ever seen.
Walking around with their
and that's all the
necks
kids are
down, looking at
interested
their
in.
phone.
Yeah. And the fact that they're entitled to everything.
Yeah.
Oh, that gets me.
We had the same education system here, being ex-British, and exactly the same subjects, and we pushed out people like Tolkien. Elon Musk also came from there, from our system.
Right.
What our government did to solve the problem of being too clever, they dropped a lot of the subjects like history. It's virtually impossible to fail a year, to have to repeat a year. You automatically pushed forward because the government can't afford 12 years of education
Exactly.
per person.
Exactly.
And they lowered the pass rate to 30% to pass your final year to graduate.
Mm-hmm.
So there's competition to get into the school?
Yep.
Now the schools are, there's enough space for the schools when they don't burn them down. If they're short of a classroom, they take the brilliant route of burning the whole school down, and then there's no school.
Oh my gosh.
That makes
I'm
a
not-
hell of a lot of sense.
I'm not. That is the most common way of protest here. Is you destroy everything. If something's not working, you destroy whatever is there. Which is a little bit like we all spoke about the fuel price. It's like buying a motor vehicle in your own name and then burning it in protest because of the high fuel price. That's exactly what these people do.
Wow.
So, yep. But we took the short.
Cutting your nose off, as they would say, to spite your face.
Crazy.
What, Dwayne?
It sounds like cutting your nose off to spite your face.
Right.
It's exactly what they do. If the medical facilities aren't up to what the expectations are, they burn the hospital down.
Oh my God.
Unbelievable.
Well, that's
it's
kind of what
all-
happened during our summer of love, wasn't it?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
right.
They rioted and burned. You know, they've been rioting and burning since President Trump took office. Remember in Washington when they burned all the cop cars and
Yeah.
they rioted
Portland.
and broke into all the windows and everything in Washington D.C. that day?
Wait
Was it
until,
also Minneapolis? Or not Minneapolis, Minnesota or something like that? There was all those fires.
Yeah, mhm. That
and that's
yeah, they do
where
that
the
too.
Republican National Convention's gonna be in 24.
Yeah, good place for it.
It brings a new meaning to the song "Love American Style."
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
I can't help that. That's my view.
Oh, Tiffy.
But we've got the Kennedys to thank and Jesse Jackson because they came here in the, what was it, 70s? They were actually kicked
Right.
out. They were
Right.
kicked out. They'd already taught the people how to demonstrate with fire and burning. That's actually why they were kicked out of the country. Ted Kennedy
Ted
and
Kennedy?
Jesse Jackson.
Ted Kennedy, right?
Ted
Yep.
Kennedy and Jesse Jackson.
Ted Kennedy was a bad person.
Yeah, the Kennedys are like cut in half.
You're
They
right.
are really cut in half.
Yes, Ted Kennedy was the bad Kennedy.
Yeah.
He killed. Remember, he killed that one woman.
Yeah.
Maybe Joe Kopechne.
Wasn't he able to save himself and then she drowned?
Yeah,
He saved
That how it
himself
went?
and walked home and
lied
waited till the
about
next
it.
day to go back.
Right.
Unbelievable.
That way he was sober.
Yeah. They didn't have much abortion in that time, in those days, so it was the only way they could get rid of their child, because
And
she
then
was
they take
expecting.
her- Right. And then they pay her
Oh.
family,
I
they
didn't
pay
know
her
that.
family off.
The love child.
Oh, that
So
makes
simple
sense.
and true.
Yeah, that man was rotten to the core.
yes, he was.
You know,
Very
when I
bad
got
man.
interested, when I got interested in American politics, was when JFK was killed,
Mhm.
and everyone was saying it was an army orderly who could hardly handle a rifle, and anyone shot a rifle, you go at that elevation and try and shoot someone, and you're not a very skilled marksman, you haven't got much chance. And then when you let a convicted felon close to a person who's accused of being the killer of the president, and you let Jack Ruby shoot him, then you know that there's something going on. And no one in South Africa believed that they were the killers.
Well,
And
didn't he
that
want
was
to
it.
shut down the Fed and stop the Vietnam War? He
Yep.
wanted to pull out. and he wanted to
Yes,
shut down the
and,
Fed.
and he also wanted to attack the corruption of the politicians.
Kennedy was one of the ones that wanted to make his
Yes.
own, create his own money.
Yeah, on the gold standard.
And that was a
Yeah.
no.
Can you remember his speech 2 weeks before he was assassinated? When he spoke about cleaning up the government and getting rid of the corruption.
Exactly.
And 2 weeks,
He was telling us, yep,
and 2 weeks later, he was assassinated.
that's right.
There are forces here that want to do us harm.
Yep.
You have an astute grasp of the obvious, Dwayne.
Yeah, you can enjoy as much freedom as the government lets you have.
Yeah.
Right. We're serfs. We're still freaking slaves. We're still, you know, trapped in like before the Renaissance.
It's like what Sly and the Family Stone said. You are free in your mind, at least you want to be.
Hi, Noah.
We're just
I'm
we're
Jill.
just numbers. We're just
Hi,
numbers
Jill.
that the government borrows money against. I mean, that's how governments do it. They go, oh, look, we've got 4 or 5 million people. This is the economy, and then they borrow money, and this is how
Right.
it works. We're just being used to borrow money.
Right.
Yeah.
They can use it with whatever they want to use it. Come on.
Yeah, we're the collateral.
Yes.
What else we gonna pick with?
I apparently have some catching up to do.
We've been going back and forth about lots of things, but
Yeah, what's happening
It's
in
been so interesting.
South Africa and Australia is the same thing that's been happening, is going to start happening to us.
it is happening here.
Well, I've been following both of those countries pretty closely, having very close friends in Australia. And my mother, of course, was good friends with Nelson Mandela's lawyers here in New York, you know, being a very radical type. So South Africa has been a particular source of interest for me for many years. Of course, I don't really see myself being on the same side as my mother was before apartheid fell, considering the ramifications of what's happened for that country since it's went from a first world country to a third world country with massive displacement in my lifetime.
Yeah.
And it
It's
seems
been
to have
terrible.
happened to a lot of Western countries. And
Right.
Ireland has turned into another country.
Correct.
I mean, it's just, even America now is turning into like, you know, a second world country.
Right.
We've turned
sir.
into like a different, you know, it's not even a place that's even recognizable as having like a cultural mechanism to regulate conduct. Everything has become a matter of what a parliament or a deliberative assembly decrees should be our like way of living, and we're all just mere subjects.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
All of them telling us how we need to live. And that's not the way it's supposed to be.
No, it's not the way it's supposed to be, which is why I kind of, when I came in, I first heard people talking about like how bad it was for medieval serfs. And if you think medieval serfs had it bad, just try being like a wannabe middle class person in the modern era. I mean, the medieval serf had it good.
Yeah, he did. Pretty much.
Yeah, actually.
All they had
Much
to do is
more
go to
just
work, come
legal
home.
system where there was distributed power down to the lowest possible unit.
Even though you couldn't say anything.
Well, you could
Well, the
sell
big
whatever you
difference is-
want.
Well, the big difference is now at least we're entertained. Now we have all of these distractions.
Well, shiny
That's
objects attracts monkeys.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it.
There is that.
There's
You got a lot of monkeys.
Am
Yeah,
not.
well, anyway, hello everyone.
Hang
Hey,
on.
Noah, how are you?
Oh, pretty
Hi.
groovy. I'm a little late.
I'm Joseph.
Sorry.
That's okay.
No worries.
My uncle was in a hot air ballooning accident and hit a power line and nearly
Oh.
died. So
I
I
hope he
was
goes
on
okay.
the
Oh my.
yeah.
Those can be dangerous. I know, because we have the International Balloon Fiesta here, and if you hit a power line here, the chances are you can die.
Where are you?
Albuquerque.
Oh
New
yeah, yeah.
Mexico.
My uncle flies at Albuquerque, and my first cousin as well. Yeah, yeah, they fly there. Yeah, I know the Albuquerque. Yeah.
Hey, Joe,
Yes, sir.
what's the deal with the Muslims getting killed in Albuquerque? I saw it on the news today.
There was, well, they're asking, they're actually, the police are asking for the public's help. Somebody obviously killed 4 Muslims and they don't know why they were killed. They haven't found out
It
why.
was over a period of time too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Were they targeted? Were they, you know,
Well, they could have been
person know
Afghan.
them?
They could
I
have
don't know
been
what's going on.
Afghan translators. That, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we don't know. Nobody knows yet. So they're still, they're investigating it and they don't know anything about it.
When I first saw it, I thought, well, that's 4 of them, you know. Then I saw it was spread out over a week or so, and I was like, wait a minute, something.
We get a lot of the influx first here in New Mexico because of us being on the border. However, with the building of the wall and the completion of the wall across New Mexico, we've had less immigration than Texas, because Texas is going to be real hard because of the river. But they do let the water get deeper over there, farther south in Texas, right around, because like over here in Albuquerque, Rio Grande is dried up and you can walk right across it. It's just sand now.
I've crossed the Rio Grande
draining
a couple of times illegally.
Yeah, they're draining the rivers and the waters and the lakes. Look at Lake Mead. They're draining it on purpose. Come on, man. We built the dams to hold the water in, not to let it go. And they're letting it go. Why are they letting it go? Where is it going? Some say they diverted it to those watersheds, you know, the Aguala watershed, you know, in the Midwest here. I don't know if they did that or not, because they said it was draining. But we have to remember, we're a self-contained world. We're 2/3, the surface of the earth is 2/3 water. You know, we have a lot of water. We have the ocean too. We can distill that water. We have the knowledge.
Yeah, the desalinization.
Yeah, we have the knowledge. Mm-hmm. We could do it.
That's how Saudi Arabia gets their water.
That's right.
You know, the cost of desalinization of water has been brought down considerably in the last 5 years. So it's now
and the
feasible.
Green New Deal ain't more expensive.
Well,
right?
I mean, the Green New Deal is nothing but a scam to tax everyone's productivity.
Oh yeah.
That's a productivity scam.
Everything the government says is trash, but they're the ones that don't do the work. They don't do the work. It's the people of the world that do the work.
Well, let me object to the idea that there is the government.
Right.
There should be many levels of government. There should be self-government. There should be local government. There should be many levels of government. There shouldn't be the government. Like,
exactly.
Everyone's there's one group, the government.
You should govern yourself and your.
We are the government.
Well,
we the people.
We are.
If we're the government, we're doing a really bad job.
We are doing a really bad job.
Terrible job. Terrible.
I mean, forget about it.
I mean, you gotta quit. We gotta quit electing these people that don't have anything to do with the area that they're supposed to be representing.
Well, keep Bob the mad gay guy hid in the closet.
We have no choice.
We have to have choice.
Not when Dominion is like running voting systems. I mean, what choice do we have?
There you are.
Right? That's why we have to start governing.
Look, if I said what choice we had, I'd probably be on another list that I don't want to be on.
I know, right?
I'm just saying. Like, don't get me started about what choice we have.
Yeah,
when we have no other recourse but vote harder, you know.
Yeah, that's all we can do, man. We just get more people to vote.
Vote harder. Vote harder.
So we'll do it the legal way.
Right.
Yeah, all right.
Well, come to find out, I'm a domestic terrorist.
We already knew that.
I've got a Betsy Ross flag. I've got a Gadsden flag. I've got a rebel flag, and I'm white and I own guns.
Oh my God.
Terrorist.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Sounds like a good old fashioned American to me.
Yeah.
See, the funny thing is in Australia,
Israeli flag.
What'd you say, Brett?
See, the funny thing is, in Australia, it is compulsory to vote. If you don't vote, you get fined.
This
It's
is
about
true.
$100 US.
What state are you in?
I live in outback South Australia.
You're in South Australia. Okay.
Wow.
Probably one of the last conservative states.
What do you think about like Western Australia versus South Australia as a bastion of conservatism?
I'd say South Australia is a bit more conservative than Western Australia.
Well, you've definitely got some of the right political figures there.
Yeah. Whereas if you look at Victoria, that place is just almost
Trash.
communism.
Yeah,
Victoria and
it's
New South Wales have like totally gone to the freaking like.
New Zealand.
I've got a very, very close friend.
What about New Zealand, Carolyn?
Oh God,
Same
forget
thing.
about it.
Same thing. We got a friend in New
They're
Zealand.
gone. They're
Yeah,
done.
they have.
gone.
Is that
Jacinda
woman still
Ardern, forget about it.
PM there? That lady.
Jacinda Ardern.
Ardern. Yeah.
Hold on. Let
Who?
Carolyn
What?
finish. Let Carolyn finish.
Yes.
Yes, that's all I wanted to know. Was that biatch still in
As
charge?
of about
Yeah,
Yes, she is.
Lucinda.
Yes. And
As
she
of
says
about a
that
month ago, I
she's
saw
the
her on
government.
TV.
She knows everything.
She was
And-
she was
Liz
doing
Cheney's
press-
sister.
As Dingo will know, New Zealand can't even play rugby anymore.
Yeah, the
No.
All Blacks aren't doing too well.
Yeah, we beat them 29-10, a little bit of a drubbing.
Ooh, that's a flogging.
Yep.
Bugging.
Flogging on the noggin.
Yeah.
But
Good.
I haven't followed sports for a while. But Jacinda Ardern is
Jacinda.
she's really bad news. I mean, we're starting to get stories about protests and everything because basically she's just run that country into the ground. And she's always been a socialist. She's always been proud to be a socialist. And I wouldn't be surprised if she isn't. I can't think of the name. There's a group of people. Their symbol is a wolf with a sheep's pelt on its back.
Oh my.
That's the Fabian Society.
Fabian Society. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think she's a member of that.
I have a cousin. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm saying their crime rate has gone through the roof as well.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's absolutely, it used to be you could walk around there. They've got gangs stealing cars. The latest trick is steal a car and then they drive it into a shop, jewelry shop or something of value. Then there's a lot of murders. Their drug problem has increased. Yep. New Zealand in the last 5 to 10 years has gone totally backwards.
And they're broke.
I have a first cousin who lives in New Zealand, and she is a nurse, a renal nurse, and she loves Jacinda.
Oh, God.
But she's a socialist. She came from England. And it's interesting. I mean, the different opinions.
You know, I know a lot of people, or at least I used to know a lot of people in the tech industry, and they all started moving to New Zealand, thinking it was going to be like the last bastion of freedom.
That's right.
And they all started moving there, and now they realized it's a totalitarian hellscape.
Right.
And these were people who thought like, you know, New Zealand was going to be the place to go. And then the last 5 years, the place has taken such a turn. And of course, you've got these like World Economic Forum people, and they claim Jacinda Ardern as one of her own. I don't know how much, like, they say, like, if you show up on the World Economic Forum site as like a young leader, it doesn't mean anything in terms of it. But she certainly seems to be playing by the rule book.
Real push.
Oh, she's playing by their rule book. She's one of them. And that's why the country's just gone down the tubes. I mean, I was born in New Zealand.
The real push for the New
Didn't know
World
that.
Order started about the time Hillary got beat. If you look back. what's it,
Well,
5
if I
years
look
ago?
if I look back,
She was supposed to be
it
born
started
then.
around the time Bill Clinton in it,
Well, yeah, but
or even before
I mean,
that,
we
when
could go
Reagan
all the
got
way-
shot.
we could go back to LBJ, but that's a waste of time. But all this, the New World shit started about the time Hillary lost. That's why they kept Trump distracted. He couldn't get things done because they kept him in court. Meanwhile, the rest of the world is going to hell, but we're too busy looking at this.
Well,
Right.
you can blame the media for
And
that.
COVID hit.
Right.
And COVID hit.
Which who owns the media?
Well, it doesn't matter. It depends on what you're looking at.
Someone's
Whoever it is, blow him a kiss for me.
believe that was Dwayne. Excuse yourself, Dwayne.
I mean, everyone was looking at whatever the media was telling them to, and Trump was believing it too during his entire time in office. He could have been dictating the terms of what people were looking at using alternative media, and he refused. He could have gone to alternative social media platforms and abandoned Twitter and abandoned the entire, censorship paradigm.
Trump.
And he failed to do so. He failed to do
so.
so. He was validating
I
the
wonder-
entire structure.
See, but I don't know if he failed or if it was intentional.
I
He
mean,
should have repealed the
whether it
propaganda
failed or
law.
intentional, look at the results.
Yeah, but this is what needed to be done to wake people up.
To wake people up.
Well, I think-
Okay.
I think I
They're
know what
waking
you're
them up,
saying.
and we're waking up in a hellhole. Which
Yeah,
Joe Biden is
now
But
what do
that's
we
what
do?
it takes sometimes to hit rock bottom for people to know what the hell is going on.
Well, that's
and what do
what
we
we
do to
call
fix it?
accelerationism.
Well, yeah.
Accelerationism is the idea that we have to destroy everything in order to reach the new paradigm. And if we keep going from one accelerationist paradigm to the next, we're going to wake up in Armageddon. And
Yeah, but
we don't
one-
want to go to Armageddon. We want to not get to Armageddon as soon as possible.
I agree with you, but you got to start one of those new systems, a new political machine without
Yeah, the new political machine might be even more hellish.
the Satanists.
Yeah, yeah,
Without
yeah.
the cabal.
Yeah, but they're there. They're
I
there.
think what you're trying to say, correct me if I'm wrong, Noah, is that Trump probably spent too much time playing into their baloney because it was a game to him,
Yes.
and it kind of backfired, you know. So
In some ways, yes. In some ways, no. And I hope after sitting out for 4 years, if he gets back in, that he will come back with the vengeance, and would have had time to reflect and
He's already said he's going to.
Well, he hasn't officially said. He's intimated. There are some issues with fundraising. Like if he says he's going to, then he's going to have the FEC crawling
Right.
up his rear end.
They can
So
give him
he
whatever
can
they want.
continue to raise money.
They can give him whatever they want to give him right now, and can't nobody say shit. All they gotta do is say it's his.
Exactly.
But the minute he
exactly.
says he's running, he said, "I am running," the FCC kicks in.
Exactly. So he can get the money now. If he says he's not running, it just teases everyone. The question is if he comes back, will he crush his enemies?
And who is that enemy? Who are they gonna pick?
I think more than half of it is done already. We just don't know it.
Oh yeah, trust the plan.
It's not about Q or the plan.
No, I'm just saying, it's not like anything's assured.
First thing to do is get rid of that propaganda law. That'll put all them bullshits out of off
But
the air.
why would he leave that in? I'm sorry, Trump is not a dumb man, and I don't agree with
Well,
I just don't. I
Goes
think
back
this
to what you said a
plan
minute
I'm not saying he's dumb. I'm just saying he's
No,
not
no.
the brilliant mastermind he says that people attribute to him
Gotta let
playing
people
5D
see what-
chess.
You gotta let
I
people
don't
wake up, see what's going on.
Right. I don't think it's necessarily that. I think this plan
This plan.
of him going in office was much earlier. He knew when he started asking for Obama's birther and stuff, I think that's when he knew he was going to run. Now, a lot of people don't know in the 1980s, Trump helped the FBI with like 5 mafia families. He's been doing this for a long time. He knows what he's doing.
Look, don't get me started on the birther thing, because whenever they did all these birther lawsuits, they asked all the wrong legal questions. And every single court said of anyone who even asked the question whether, like, say, Obama was constitutionally qualified, they asked all of the wrong questions. And all of the courts said that everyone who brought a lawsuit, from people in the military chain of command all the way up, they all said, you have no right to sue because you can't demonstrate damages. You have no standing.
Yep.
They ruined it. Look at Kamala Harris. Say Joe Biden gets freaking impeached. She's not constitutionally qualified under the Constitution as a natural born citizen. If she's installed and Biden is removed, the courts are going to play the exact same thing, because all of these people did not bring up the right questions.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So, I mean, at this point, we're as far as I'm concerned, every election since Obama's been rigged. Like, everyone wants to talk about like the Trump thing.
No,
And
go
it's
back
like,
farther
we
than that,
haven't
bro.
had a constitutional republic since Obama.
Go
Like,
back
don't tell
farther,
me
bro. Go
Americans
back
elected
farther.
some guy named Barack Hussein Obama right after 9/11.
I know.
Exactly.
God,
Don't tell me that.
I know.
I mean, it's ridiculous. And they had this narrative in the media, Obama won, and it's like some let's all hold hands and sing Kumbaya. And we're like, post 9/11, we're going to elect a guy with a middle name named Hussein.
I know.
Right.
That's
It
what I'm
was
saying.
just so.
I mean, it's
easily-
been idiotic. Only since Trump have people realized that the elections have been freaking rigged.
Yeah, and I think they're
And it's
rigged
been going on
worldwide.
for a long time.
Well, they play games.
Oh,
Okay.
it's a total game.
Yeah. This year we're gonna take the House, but you get the Senate and the White House. Next go round, we get the Senate and the White House, and you keep the House. Then once we're all up for re-election again, then we're just gonna switch it up. We get the White House, but we lose the Senate and the House. It's a fucking game.
Oh,
Flip a
well.
coin. And that's what's gonna happen in November.
Well,
We're
that's
gonna
what
squeak
I
by.
expect. That's
We're
what I
gonna squeak.
expect.
We're gonna squeak by. Well,
All
we
right.
didn't quite get the House, but we got the Senate, but it's a narrow 2-margin vote. Some of those rhinos are gonna vote with the Democrats anyway, so they, just buckle up, get ready for 24.
Yeah.
Woo-hoo.
We'll elect 5 more MAGA Republicans, and that'll change everything. And everyone will feel satisfied.
And it ain't.
Will it?
All right, guys.
No,
I think
no.
that this conversation should absolutely keep going, but I'm going to play a little bit of break music for you guys, and I'm going to end the live stream so that we're not continuously broadcasting out to the 2 platforms. The Zoom should absolutely keep going. You guys are having a great conversation, and I think you should keep doing it. But I think we should
Yeah.
probably.
Fortunately, like
close
a
out the
dozen
live
people
video.
didn't show up. Go
This
figure.
is almost every night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to
Now,
go
we
ahead.
played
And,
Hangman last night, but
we opened it up
I
with a
lost.
song from John Rich, and we're going to close it out with a song that I just discovered. I don't know how long it's been around. Actually, it looks like it's been around for a real long time, but hot dang, this song kicks ass.
Let's do it.
Do it.
Oh yeah.
It's the guts and it's the glory. 100 stripes, 100 stories. It's the Pledge of Allegiance on the 4th of July. It's them handwritten letters from home. It's them sleepless nights alone. It's his newborn baby he left with his wife. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, lay down his life. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, for these stars and stripes. Hey. From the fields of Indiana to the swamps of Louisiana, to the golden coast of California, Uncle Sam's the only family he's got. His purple heartbeat won't stop, and his 18th birthday was the day he was born. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, lay down his life. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, for these stars and stripes. March in line,